Hey there folks, and welcome to this video. It's General Notes. I usually do this in the early part of the week. I'll explain why I'm doing this on Sunday in a moment, but before I get into it, it is Mothering Sunday here in the UK, so happy Mother's Day to anybody who's celebrating it, and my thoughts are with you if this is a particularly tough time of the year. What we're going to do is we'll go through the stuff that's coming up on this channel, we'll have a little bit of look at analytics, and then we'll talk about 3 different articles. You can find the timestamps down below if you want to skip to a particular part of it. But without further ado, let's get on with it. Starting off this week, I'm hoping that Martinsville review will be out tomorrow on Monday. If it's not, the ERC Rally Sierra Morena preview will be out instead. And then Martinsville will be on Tuesday. Then we'll have a preview for Suzuka on the Wednesday. On Thursday, I'm hoping to get something out in Le Mans Ultimate before Friday. We'll look at a best of. So that is my best of driver rankings, and we'll look at that for March 2025. Saturday, I think I'll do some predictions. I've penciled in GT World Challenge, but I might shelve that, depending if I've gotten my 10 already. And if I have, then, yeah, it'll probably be shelved, but in the meantime, well, Sunday we're going to have a review for the ERC in Spain as well as for Suzuka. But let's talk about the channel at the moment. Yeah. It's a bit strange right now because I'm back looking at how shorts work again. And to me, it looks like a bit of a Wild West. I mean, if I look at the past week on this channel, you can just see an ebb and flow. 500 views on Sunday, not even 200 on Monday, then nearly 1,000 on Tuesday, 400 on Wednesday, down to 200 on Thursday, up to 600 on Friday, and then Saturday is about 270. And so far today, it's, well, as of the time of me recording this, barely cracked 100. View time is similar, but it tends to be a little bit more consistent thanks to the variety between shorts and long-form videos. And I can actually pretty much look back on all of March at the same time, where I can find that I was down on the period between January and February, but then that makes sense for most of the start of March. I think for the first week of March, I had no short going out. As a result, there's only one day in the first 9 that I get over 100 views. Likewise, watch hours. I mean, watch hours is weird because it's actually slightly higher than the times where I've got higher views, say Friday. But yeah, it's always interesting stuff to look at because you want to try and understand how this stuff works, and I can't really understand how this stuff works. I think there's a law run to it that I'm pretty sure even YouTube itself isn't particularly aware of. But yeah. Anyways, let's get into the articles. And first up, something that's pretty interesting. World Rallycross have unveiled, well, the FIA has unveiled for World Rallycross, the 2025 calendar Mark II. Now, the original calendar was, 8 rounds? Canada, Hungary, Portugal, Britain, Finland, Sweden, Turkey, and Australia. This next one that has been unveiled is 6. We'll start off with Portugal, but it's not at the start of May now, it's at the end of May. It takes what was the Great Britain slot, which was meant to be, I believe, a street race in Coventry. Then, after that, the next one will be Holiers, the Magic Weekend, which keeps its date that it was originally meant to have, the 5th to 6th of July, but it's the 5th to 6th rather than 4th to 6th now. Making me think it's just a the fact that it's a 2-day event and a 3-day event, I don't know what that's going to have as an impact in terms of the scheduling. I would have thought it would still be 2 events, the same with the Lusada one, because it's Lusada, not Montalegre, for WorldRX. Then after that, we have the 19th to 20th date, which is the WorldRX of Hungary, which was originally the Turkish date. So Hungary will be taking pretty much the place of the Turkish date. I mean, I think it's a week earlier. Then after that, at the end of August, we'll have Kimi Ring, which is where we had a weird mid-season break. and that was originally scheduled for June. Then we will see the Turkish round in September, around the same time that we saw it last year. Actually, I think it was the end of October last year. I remember I was putting the soundproofing on the wall next to my simulator. Before the final round is a to be confirmed. Now, the Turkish round, I think, technically counts as the non-European round, because I'm pretty sure it's just... Actually, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's just on the Asian side of Istanbul. It might be just on the European side. I know it's near the airport, whichever side that one's on. And yeah, it could be a non-European round, but it could also be another European one. All I know is that final round does not have... it doesn't have WorldRX on it. WorldRX will be joining for the first 5, and then the 6th one is not going to be a WorldRX round. But yeah, finally, we get confirmation for the calendar. It's 2 weeks late. The FIA unveiled the WorldRX calendar 2 weeks later than they originally were meant to. They failed in their first target. There's a 6th round in the calendar now that is to be confirmed, and they have binned off, 3 events that were originally meant to be on the calendar, with Canada, Britain, and Australia. So, what's going to happen? We don't really know. And, well, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, because I don't have that much of a clue. I did previously do a video on this channel, which was asking what was going on with it. I've done 2, actually, because the first time they purged their social media, then they said, oh, there's an update, and then the FIA took it over, and then they failed to meet their first target. I hope we get a season. I hope it comes up as 12 rounds, though I know it very much could only be 6. But I was watching some of the WorldRX stuff. Driveline, who was actually in my comment section on the most recent one, which is really cool to see. I like Driveline stuff for WorldRX content. I really don't know what the FIA is doing here. The WorldRX stuff in Montalegre is a lot of fun, but the FIA has to get this right. It's a world championship, and this is election year for Mohammed Ben Sulayem. So, unless, he's managed to find a way to game the system to get himself in for an unpopular second term, this is pretty much the final roll of the dice for him. I wouldn't be surprised if this final round is, say, Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi has hosted WorldRX before. They could double it up with the F1 and make it a nice big extravaganza. And then you can go, oh, look at how many people attended this WorldRX event. Or you could, with the fact that the WRC finale is going to be in Saudi, and supposedly we'll use the pit facilities of the Jeddah Corniche circuit, you could use Jeddah. I mean, after all, it's not actually a street circuit, is it? It's a permanent circuit that just took over some streets and got named a street circuit so they could conform to the FIA regulations on Grade 1 circuits. Anyways, I've talked about this a lot. I want to try and get through the other 2 headlines, starting off with one for the BTCC. Because Nick Hamilton is going to be back in 2025. It's great to see him back, and he's a really inspirational story for racing drivers around the world. I mean, he's someone who lives with cerebral palsy, and he's spoken before about the extent to which it affects his motor racing journey, to the point that he said a good weekend is one where the realignment procedure afterwards isn't too bad, because he has to go to a chiropractor after each race, and he judges the success of the weekend by how painful or not painful it is. Now, it's strange that Hamilton's last appearance was the season opener 2 years ago, but that was where he got his best finish, 6th place. His brother, 7-time world champion of F1, Sir Lewis Hamilton, was in attendance. And it was such a brilliant story. It was such a shame that was his only appearance in 2023. But he'll be running with Unlimited Motorsport. That means they're going to have 3 cars this year. And yeah, it's just wonderful to see. I think the last time round he was running with Team Hard, wasn't he? But he knows the Cupras. Cupras can suit him. I just hope that we get to have even more fairy tale stories this season. Now, the final one's going to be following up on something that I talked about in short form content. Because I said in the early hours of, was it Tuesday or Wednesday morning, that we found out that Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda were going to be switching seats. Now, there was there's been an article on the race. I'm going to link in the description down below, like I link other things I talk about. And there are several bits and pieces the race have put together as to why the swap's happening when it is and the things that should go on with it. So, Helmut Marko said on BBC 5 Live that they made a mistake putting Lawson in so soon and that they wanted to try and rebuild his confidence by putting him back in the RB. And then, likewise, that Suzuka was a difficult circuit, so they wanted to put him in a car that he was more familiar with. They're hoping that he'll be able to bounce back. But obviously, at the same time, no driver's gotten re-promoted to Red Bull. And it's so strange that Helmut Marko just continues to have this dim view of Yuki Tsunoda. He'd said that Yuki's career often had ups and downs, that he didn't exactly have an image of reliability and consistency. I wouldn't have said that Lawson necessarily did. He had 11 races, didn't he, before he got into the Red Bull. They said 2 very good races, he changed his management, he's far more mature. I don't think there's been that much of a difference. If anything, he's been more fueled by spite, being overlooked for a seat that he arguably also deserved. But, yeah. Apparently, they're planning to give Tsunoda until the end of the season anyways. So, there have been some bits, the race talked about the idea that Honda said they were going to give them sponsorship money to put Tsunoda in the car. And Red Bull said, oh, that thing that you said before? Can we have the money? And then Honda said, put Yuki in for Suzuka and you can have the money. And so they decided to. But it's so strange. And I think the final thing from the race also speaks volumes. Red Bull could lose Verstappen over this, right? Like, it's not exactly clear that it's clear that Verstappen isn't happy about it. It's not exactly clear if doing this will keep him on the side. Like, the main problem the Red Bull has is they built their car so much more towards one driver's ideology. They admitted it. Not Helmut Marko. I think Christian Horner actually said it about Sergio Perez. That when Perez started complaining about the car and it went too far down one setup extreme, they ignored it. They're like, oh, it's just Checo. And then when Max started complaining, like, oh dear, Max is complaining now. And actually, Max didn't complain directly. Jos complained, and as a result, they were like, oh, Max complained to Jos. Jos is flaming us in the media. At first, they were a bit like, oh, well, this is just Jos being Jos. But then they were like, oh, actually, no. There is something else to it. It's just so utterly bizarre. Can't really say anything else apart from that. And on that note, I think I've said everything that I had to say. Thanks for watching and joining, folks, and until next time, bye for now.